Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar, Securing the Move to SAP RISE, Turning Risk into Acceleration. My name is Brian Rosenberger. I recently joined SecurityBridge, but I have the co-founder here, Christoph Nagy, who will lead you through this presentation. Christoph, say hello, and then let's look into the agenda.
Hello, everyone. Looking forward to get into it.
So we prepared quite some content for you today. Our plan is to occupy 40 minutes roughly of your time. We segmented the presentation into 4 different sections. We will start discussing why security in RISE is even an issue and why we need acceleration and how we can leverage security to actually accelerate RISE transformation projects. And then right after, in the fourth part of this presentation, watch out for a demo that Christoph will do of the security platform that can solve a lot of the problems that you typically identify in RISE transformation when it comes to security. With pleasure, Christoph, the stage is yours.
Amazing. Thanks, Brian. And before we hop right into the topic, obviously, there should be a bit of a background on why organizations are moving into RISE and what are the 5 main business drivers for it, just to set the stage. Yeah, I mean, as you all know, or many of you know, that SAP has announced on the 4th of February 2020 already their maintenance strategy, so-called Maintenance 2040 strategy. That was refined multiple times, but as of today, one can say and one can predict that we're very close to the end of 27, obviously. It means that the SAP Business Suite 7 will receive the mainstream maintenance until the end of 27. And that includes SAP ERP 6.0, CRM 7.0, Supply Chain Management 7, and a bunch of other products, obviously, from SAP. For a few products, SAP will allow extended maintenance. However, for that obvious reason, unless already done, you need to build your own product upgrade strategy and plan your migration. And RISE with SAP should be in the move, should be at your target list on that particular way. But what are the business drivers for the transformation? Because obviously it's not only the ending of the on-premise world, but it's also a lot of positive benefits for your business. One is agility. So it helps you to ship changes faster and not wait for quarters. There's also a lot of more scalability. Companies can today not scale globally if they still need to plan on-premise capacities. That's just not possible in a hybrid world and to keep up with the competitive landscape, obviously. There is the innovation part and the AI readiness. So don't forget, also SAP's innovation stream is very strong and enables a lot of new capabilities for you and your businesses, including the new AI services as announced by Christian Klein and the recent Sapphire, SAP Joule, and a lot of agents that will come along the way. But those will only be available for the new versions, obviously, and not for the on-premise world anymore. And then the operational simplicity. I mean, you need to offload your basis talent, SAP basis talent, because there is simply no basis talent available anymore on the market. And offloading this infrastructural operations will close the skill gap and will help you to focus on the relevant parts. You basically outsource this along the way, but this also has an implication that we'll come to in a few minutes in the presentation. And then there's cost predictability. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that costs will change or will become cheaper or whatever. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying it's more predictable, it's more plannable, and the finance team, they use simple subscription contracts rather than a federation of contracts. And if that doesn't motivate you to look into RISE with SAP, then please be aware that, I mean, it will happen and you need to land it in a secure and clean way. And that's bringing it to the point. What is SAP RISE or RISE with SAP? It's a comprehensive offering designed to help the business transition into the cloud-based solutions, particularly focused on S/4HANA. And it combines various applications, services, methodologies to facilitate the digital transformation and improves the business processes. And that sounds really easy and it sounds really nice. And this is also what the promise and the expectation is. It's not necessarily promise, but it's also the expectation of the customers that RISE will simplify the operation and reduce the IT overhead. And that's a fact. However, there are certain things that are realized if too late in the game, if not considered early in the discover, planning, and prepare phase, for instance. And that is has a lot of times to do with the change of the responsibilities. And the change of the responsibilities also has an impact on your security, obviously, because cloud does not eliminate the responsibility, it just reshuffles it. Yeah? And there's a quote from my co-founder and business partner, Ivan. He was quoted on the Forbes Technology Council. I'm quickly reading it out for you. RISE changes who runs the system, it doesn't change who is responsible for the consequences. Risks do not vanish, sometimes they appear on a different level. And I think this is very helpful here to understand that there is still a responsibility on the customer side, and it's very important to actively engage with this responsibility and do not not to become surprised after the go live. In fact, if you look at this, SAP hardens the system, SAP operates the SAP tenants, and owns the 0.0 client, and obviously all the small fine details are described in the RISE contract framework. But the SAP cannot approve your business transaction, and SAP can also not be held responsible for authorization assignments that happen in the business client. SAP does also not help you preventing so-called segregation of duty conflicts, and obviously they cannot be held accountable for any cyber risks that are coming from those areas that they are not responsible for. And there is a gap and a new divider line when you move into RISE with SAP, because SAP operates your system or on your behalf, obviously, and they take a specific responsibility, for instance, for the physical security in the hyperscaler. They also take care of the network infrastructure. They do the monitoring on network level and on the OS level. They help you with the OS and database patches on the basis level, and database patches needs to be in brackets, actually. Because that also sometimes falls into customers' responsibility, and they do manage backups depending on your contract. That is also in brackets to be seen. So please always consider what is written in your individual contracts. There are standard contracts, obviously, for RISE with SAP, but there are multiple delivery models that need to be considered.
Christoph, there is a question actually around how that works in practice. So if you think about security nodes that SAP is releasing for RISE, how does it work in practice if those are affecting the application layer, for instance? Will SAP just install them, or how does the process work in that instance?
Well, every second Tuesday of a month, there is a so-called SAP Security Patch Day. And depending on the contract, the specific severity levels will be automatically applied to the system. But in many scenarios, we've seen at our customers is that the customer has to request patches, even including security patches, to be installed. So there's basically a web UI that can be used to request an S node to be installed.
Okay, so again, SAP is doing it actually. However, the responsibility is fully with the customer.
Exactly. So the request on which patch should be installed and at what time that comes from the customer, that is triggered by the customer. But if you're not aware of which patches are missing, because you're not, you don't have a proper patch management solution in place, then it becomes very dangerous and tricky. And don't rely on the automatic patching that is not given in in all circumstances. Okay, question answered?
Yes, thank
Wonderful.
you. There is a question related to that, which is specifically for the SecurityBridge solution, which obviously has patch management included. If
Yes.
that's installed on RISE, is it possible that patches can be installed via the automation that SecurityBridge provides?
Yeah, I'll come to that point at a later moment. So I would like to pause this to keep the natural flow of the presentation alive.
Thank you.
We'll have a dedicated slide on that. Okay, let me quickly summarize the slide and then we'll move on. So customer's responsibility, I think you all by now read the points, and that's just the headlines. You cannot just rely that everything is taken for you in that outsourcing model. And very important is, if you're coming from an on-premise environment, you need to rebuild and redefine your target operation model. So what happens in case of an incident, on which level, and who is to be contacted, what is the incident and response procedure, what is the actual monitoring procedure. So please already consider this in the very early phases of the RISE with SAP transformation project. Because that is actually an enabler for speed and security in your transformation. No one likes to have a prevented go live because of a security finding. That typically makes the projects more expensive than they need to be. All right, let's move on. Here's just one example. I mean, an ERP incident, or let's say, well, another aspect for securing the RISE with SAP transformation project is how to secure logins. Yeah? An ERP attack rarely starts with an attacker. It actually starts with a legitimate access, because an SAP system, yet it's exposed sometimes has various interfaces, is seldomly directly available for hackers. So it's more on the insider side. Yeah, so you have a legitimate access. You have someone has stolen identities in your system, and that's very bad, right? Identities are getting stolen without the end user's knowledge, and then malicious activities are conducted in the context of your trusted employees' accounts, and this becomes very, very difficult to track. And even here with SecurityBridge's Trust Broker solution, which is a new extension to the SecurityBridge platform, which allows you to take more control over your logins while increasing even comfort to your end users. Security is often anticipated as a burden. In this case, security makes it an accelerator. Yeah? So we are trying to show you how you can accelerate your RISE with SAP experience and even your end user experience. So with SecurityBridge Trust Broker, we'll provide you a nice and neat single sign-on process for your RISE with SAP instances or S/4HANA private instances. And that helps you to reduce the passwords, which is a hassle for your end users. And not only that, we also have a very innovative and brand new smart MFA technology. And again, SecurityBridge Trust Broker can only request MFA challenges for specific risks if they are detected. I give you an example. If someone releases an invoice for payment above a specific threshold, then the MFA challenge can intervene and verify that this is not done by a stolen identity and no harm is done to the system. Compared to, you need to do MFA at login once and then it's implicit trusted. It's not necessarily needed at login, so you can also save the time and do not, let's say, annoy the end users with this continuous MFA challenge. Good. Moving on. For total to temporary resistance or on the cloud architecture, we built it on 5 essential pillars. There's identity and access, which is supported through the context-aware or smart MFA that I just explained. There's privileged access management or single sign-on that reduces the use of passwords. For the data in and out flow, this is watch-guarded or should be watch-guarded continuously, because also a huge portion of the cyber incidents are happening just because of data in and outflow, unencrypted interfacing, weak configuration on the RFC framework, and so on. Missing patches, we already touched based on that in the session today, thanks to the questions, and I'll come back to it in a second. And missing patches should be reported according to the publication date, severity, and allow a tidy and reliable patch management orchestration. And that's also an essential pillar of the security process in the coming years. Then monitoring of malicious activities. That's actually a challenge, and I have a dedicated slide on that. Why is it a challenge? How do we solve it? But now it's not only the human activities that you want to monitor. In an agentic world, you also want to monitor non-human accounts or non-human activities on your systems that are comprised by AI agents that are following a specific mission, and you need to ensure that they are acting within the boundaries of your compliance framework. They also need to act within the boundaries of their mission, and obviously they can also be, let's call it, social engineered by prompt injections and other hacking methodologies. And then lastly, we all know it, who worked in the space for years, you can't miss the compliance pillar, because then the next audit will be a nightmare. There is meanwhile a variety of regulative fines that are threatening the organizations, and will help our customers to make the next audit a breeze experience.
Maybe if you quickly touch on the patch management again, there was also an extension. So one question was, is there sort of automation to actually implement S nodes? But there is an interesting extension to the question by David, which is, does SAP do the analysis and the impact analysis of a patch that is being applied, or is that responsibility of the customer again?
I'm not aware that SAP would do an impact analysis on the patch, and I think, David, if I'm right, you are probably asking whether there could be anything damaged by implementing a patch, like a business process or something. I think this is not done by SAP. Yeah, there is a specific degree of automation. It's also showed in the live demo that I have prepared for you, that SecurityBridge helps you with. In the context of RISE, I think the biggest benefit for you would be that SecurityBridge provides transparency and actionable insight in which patches are actually missing for your technology stack, and you can request them with your RISE provider or SAP if you are in the direct delivery stream of RISE.
Thank you.
Welcome. And keep asking, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. That makes the session even attractive and interactive, obviously. Good. I'll move on, and Brian, you stop me if I'm too fast or if you have a question. Good. Not only in the context of RISE with SAP, but also generally in SAP security. SecurityBridge intends to change the paradigm from the audit-driven to the more active risk management and continuous monitoring approach, because we really believe that is the game changer for security. While in the past there was a lot of audit and one-time snapshots in sense of penetration tests, I think the continuous monitoring and the active risk management is actually the key to success. And why I think this is also emphasized by, for instance, NIS2 and other regulation. They imply that organizations need to reinstate an active risk management, else it is negligent behavior. And obviously, active risk management needs transparency and monitoring. If you don't know your risks, you cannot actively manage them, as simple as it is. Good. Speaking about architecture, SecurityBridge is 100% SAP native, which means it comes as an add-on to the S4 landscape. It doesn't need any additional hardware, which makes it also very attractive for RISE with SAP customers. There are no aliens, no additional components that need to stand next to the SAP system in the hosting center of SAP. Hence, you can just apply for the add-on installation and equip your SAP system with the necessary cyber protection features that SecurityBridge provides. And as the name says, the SecurityBridge, we close the gap between information security and SAP. Yeah, we work with open APIs, interfaces. We do context translation from the SAP jargon into the more general information security lingo. We standardize cyber reports based on the latest cybersecurity frameworks. For instance, NIST, which is a glaring example, because many CISOs or CISOs are standardizing their reporting based on the cybersecurity frameworks that they introduce in their organizations, and then it becomes very hard for SAP to also monitor in the same framework. But with SecurityBridge, you have the standardized frameworks already there and the reporting that creates a mapping for it. More to be shown in the live demo.
So yeah, let's pause here for a second and do a collective exercise. I need your mobile phones here to scan the QR code for a nice webinar from one of our partners. CBS is actually hosting a webinar in June regarding cybersecurity in SAP. I only can recommend that to you. And on the same slide here, you're seeing some other partners that we wanted to highlight, not because they're the exclusive partners, but they are the partners we're working with and like to work with a lot, like PwC, Bearing Point, Accenture, who have proven a lot of experience in that sector, who have experience also in SecurityBridge platform and have done implementations and also recommendations to our customers. So if you have the feeling you need to speak to someone or you need to ask a question beyond that webinar, I only can invite you to either contact us directly or go to our partner webpage, identify a partner you would like to work with, and give them a phone call. Thank you very much. That was the intersection. Christoph, over to you.
Advertisement over, right?
Advertisement over. Ding.
No, I'm extremely thrilled. I'm a guest speaker also in the CBS webinar, so don't miss it. And please understand, SecurityBridge is a pure software company, so we are providing a holistic cybersecurity solution that helps customers to either manage the security posture of their SAP environments by themselves, or you can also help and engage, search help and engage with our partners. And as you can see, the most renowned companies on this planet doing the S/4HANA transformations, the RISE migrations, the strategic projects, they are committed to work with SecurityBridge and help you based on SecurityBridge to get the challenge under control.
Christoph, are you ready for two more interesting questions?
Yes.
So please. There is one which is around BTP. So the question is, does it make sense to draw a security picture without considering BTP in a RISE environment?
No, absolutely not.
That would be my understanding as well. I would probably add here that, of course, SecurityBridge is also covering BTP, and we will see in a demo that this is not only BTP, but a lot of other technologies within the SAP space as well.
I like the question a lot. And I have to say, I can definitely hold an entire webinar around the topic on what are the specific challenges on the BTP side. but I think in the sake of time, we can move on for that. And then, but as always, I mean, not only here the webinar of our partners, but also I encourage you, and we'll have a engagement button later on, to reach out to us if you want to have specific content or request a live demo or a individual conversation. We can always do that and facilitate that after the webinar.
Absolutely. A second quick one I can answer,
Yep.
actually, which is, does it make sense to have stronger security requirements before you actually move to RISE? Again, that is a yes. And yes, there is also predefined content in the SecurityBridge platform that gives you baselines to check against before you actually move into RISE. That's a very good approach, and I can only recommend using those to do an assessment beforehand.
Yeah, that's very generic, Brian. Sorry if I may challenge you on that one. Obviously, stronger security requirements are always better than weaker ones, but I mean, you need to assess from where you're coming. A lot of our customers have very strong security requirements already. And I think the challenge will be to transfer them into the new operation model. So because there's a lot of blind spots, there's a lot of different change in the responsibility, as said. And I think the challenge is really to build the new target operation model. And that's why I'm staying on this slide. PwC, Accenture, Bearing Point, they have proven to help the customers with that. And also CBS, obviously, have proven to help customers to map and migrate into the RISE environment. But stronger is always better. Brian, you didn't say anything wrong. Okay, good. I talked about why is malicious activity monitoring such a dilemma in SAP, obviously, because outside applications like CM solutions, even if they have connections to SAP, they have a challenge in analyzing the millions of log sources. There's a lot of noise in there from a cybersecurity perspective because SAP is a transactional system, highly transactional system. Obviously, that doesn't apply necessarily to all the BTP logs and so on, but I'm talking about S/4HANA. There's a lot of business transaction logs in there which are not interesting, and they should be filtered or pre-correlated, analyzed, and maybe enhanced before they go into a SIEM solution. And that's where the SecurityBridge algorithm actually kicks in. So SecurityBridge analyzes all the log sources from the S/4HANA log to the change logs, you name it, basically. And then there are specific use cases that are detected. Then we're creating normalized security alerts and events from it and sharing it with SOAR and SIEM solutions like Microsoft Sentinel or Splunk to then do a broader correlation. And that's also necessary with your perimeter. So you need to know where the attack is coming from originally, because SAP has a limited view on the application, the SAP logs. But the SIEM solution, if you work with a global SIEM or SOC operation, Security Operations Center, then you have a lot of more information there, and you can do holistic forensics end-to-end, and you can actually also work with a lot of automation there in the SOAR systems. That's where SecurityBridge comes in. So we do anomaly detections based on our machine learning, that's statistical learning, not to be confused with large language models in that sense, and help you to detect the toxic behaviors on the system. Then we had the patch management question. Without active patch management, you will have a lot of manual processes. As said, security patch day happens, then manual process to change. I have discussed over the years with many organizations that told me, Christoph, we have a thorough patch management process manually implemented. We believe it's very strong. Then we installed SecurityBridge, and directly after installation, we found at least one to many hot news nodes that are very old and have been missed. And I mean, a tool is more precise than a human process, and the human and process is more cost intensive than working with a tool. And with the tool, you can even apply virtual patching, which in our sense means if you are for whatever reason not able to implement the patch right away, even though you assess that the risk is very high at the moment, we can use the threat detection functionality of SecurityBridge to look exactly at that vulnerability loophole in your protection wall and see that it is not exploited in the time until patch. Yeah, that's very important. Good. And then we have a 360-degree view on the development. I mean, as for HANA migrations as such, they are typically happening on brownfield or on greenfield. If you go RISE with SAP, it's typically according to the conversations that I have, preferred to be on a greenfield because there is consolidation happening, and if you would just lift and shift, it's typically too expensive. Don't want to go into the details here, but then there is a lot of development happening, custom development, and also SecurityBridge during the project phase already helps you to assess with quality gates that the custom code is not your source for vulnerabilities, and it doesn't go unseen in the pre-development stage. Now you would ask, why does Christoph speak about the pre-development stage? Actually, post-development stage, the testing stage, sorry for that. It should be deployment stage. That is so important because as of a certain moment, you will have productive data in your testing environments. And if you have that, and if you don't have that anonymized and pseudonymized, then attackers are very interested to lay hands on them. And then later on in production, we even protect the SAP runtime because the code scanner also looks at generated artifacts or injected artifacts and alerts directly through the threat detection module that an injection has happened and something malicious has been conducted. Good. With that, now we're already a bit behind. We're going into our live demo. Good. Let me first log in here into the demo environment. It's a recording, so I recorded that just yesterday for the session here. As you can see, once logged in, I'm coming to the Fiori Launchpad, and here you can see the management dashboard and the core SecurityBridge applications. And basically everything has its home. Let's start with looking underneath the hood with going to the Global Settings app. So SecurityBridge is really end-to-end implemented in Fiori. You find a nice usability concept. You see that we guard 70 instances in total, while 26 are probably for maintenance or not connected at the moment. And then if you go to the connection level, you see how many SAP products are covered, from ABAP agents to BTP ABAP, Cloud Identity Service, Ariba, BO, Concur, and so on. Even technical components like SAP Router and Web Dispatcher are covered. And let me pause here for a second. That was an unintended move. We also have our entire SecurityBridge content and the security content directly available in this UI. As you can see here, we have the SAP standard templates for baselining, for monitoring or assessing your security posture. And there is a dedicated one for the RISE environments too. And then with such a baseline, you can just assign it to the systems that you operate in the RISE hosting or in the RISE environment, and then they are basically assessed automatically with that configuration. Now moving into the management dashboard. We heard the requirement from the market that there should be a holistic cybersecurity dashboard, and we've delivered. However, you can build your own dashboard based on your requirement. The development lead or the RISE with SAP project has probably a different need Then the SAP security team, they look at the holistic security, while the development only looks at code security. And now here we show how we can build a quick dashboard from scratch, basically from the white page. We add code vulnerability events. We set it to staging level development. And if existing, there could be even a system tag assigned to all systems that are in RISE. In this demo, there is none. And then you can save this and you can add another library tile for the or graphical visualization. Then I realized here that I have to remove the filter because the BTP ABAP is not covered in that system here. And then you see that we have results directly, and then you can adjust the sizing and resize this. You can drag and drop this dashboard to your needs, and then you can have it on a big screen in front of you, and it will refresh automatically. And not only that, if your manager asks you for providing insight, you can just build a read-only dashboard for your manager and share the link. And then the manager has the information that he or she needs at hand in a live scenario. Good, let's move on. Event monitoring, that's the 4 main capabilities: event monitor, security posture management, patch management, and code vulnerability. We start with the event monitoring here. And the usability concept is always, you have on the left side the panel that you can also collapse. That was my browser panel. And then you're getting basically a dashboard for the subject, which is at the moment the threat detection or security events. And then you get also your graphs there that help you to understand the overall situation. And I mean, as it already says, top left, very high events. Always, if there are some, please look at them. Yeah. And what we can see here is someone has deleted a key 202 from T00. So basically, a client has been deleted, and it looks very suspicious because someone has changed the OK code from display to delete, which is an implication for the classical SE16 hack. And now what we've done is we started an investigation, and now we see all events that have been correlated in the context of the user or of the terminal. And now we are certain that the event corresponds with a security incident, and now we are dragging and dropping all the events into the container, create a security incident, and report it directly to the investigation team. Yeah, so SecurityBridge also allows you to engage with your target operation model or security process directly, tool-based, and now you can basically report them. You see the events are attached, and now we're creating an incident for it, and now the cyber team should be involved, or at least it is documented that something has happened on the system. Good, as you can see here, the SEC incident 11.4.7.1 has been created. And that's just really a quick run through. There's a lot of more capabilities. Now we're moving into security posture management. We look at, is the system configured in the right way? Do you have missing authorizations? Do you have too strong authorizations? Do you have a loophole in your RFC networking and so on? Now let's go to the PW system here on system level. And then you can see we have 480 compliance checks that are multiplied in 1,000 use cases, thousands of use cases. And now we switched into the RISE with SAP baseline, because SecurityBridge can also assess one system with multiple baselines to provide multiple perspectives. And then it goes bird's eye view down to really machine room. Yeah, now we're looking at a result on the security audit log, and we see that the system parameter RSAU/enabled is actually set to the right value, so it's green, it's fine. Now I'm quickly switching it back to the SecurityBridge standard baseline, which is basically industry best practice, and you can see we have 480 compliance checks here, and which multiply to thousands of use cases. And here you can also see that for RISE with SAP, we only check the parameter. For the on-premise environment where you bear a lot of more responsibility yourself, we check a lot more parameters. And as always, help is just a button click away. So if you don't know what RSIU/enable means, you click on it, you get the help for it. And as said, always request a demo. That's just a quick run through. You see a button now on your screen. If you want to apply for a demo, please reach out, and then we'll do a full hour answering all your individual questions and showing you the platform to your needs. Now we are in patch management already. So the demo goes on. You can see the same landscape view as you're already used to, and then you see our A1 system once again, and now we see the system view, which now shows us which patches can be implemented. They are red because obviously they are not yet implemented, so not patched. And it also tells you how old the patch are and how long you're already carrying the risk. Now here, let me stop here for a second. You can also start the implementation in foreground, background, and as a guided procedure from a central UI. Obviously, it will help you to work with one patch and see how many systems need to be patched, and you can track the progress of implementation and deployment of the patch throughout your staging levels. Good, moving on. Code vulnerability analyzer. For the sake of completeness, the same game, left side, we're going to the landscape level. Well, first we start with the overview, then we're going to the landscape level, and we can assess then the individual instances that have been checked. And again, same view, bird eye. First you fly over, you see the risk posture, and then you go really into the machine room. And this means in code vulnerability analyzer, obviously we are going to the code level. And here it asks me if I need to if I want to refresh the scan. I don't do that now. And now here I go to the code level. And now something remarkable will happen. So we'll just click on one of the findings here on the left side where the yellow triangle is set. Then on the right side, we'll directly get the explanation for it, the risk that is connected to it. And now we can ask AI, and now it says, oh, you did something wrong. You need to please mark the selected code that you want to have AI assessing it. That means we need to now, as the user, take control over what artifacts of the code is actually shared with the large language model of our choice. We work with Bring Your Own AI, or we have a standard AI that you can connect to. That's an enterprise ChatGPT account, or it can also work with Joule, and so on. And now I need to do this. So it says that's not working. So now I need to mark the lines that I want the AI to explain me the code for, and then I'll get an automated response from the AI that explains me really quick what is the purpose of the code breakdown, the delete from, def access, and so on. And it even helps me sometimes to explain what is the business use of the table. Quite remarkable, especially for people that are monitoring code without having sophisticated ABAP or the development language experience. Quite helpful. Now we are in the interface traffic monitor. We are looking at interface traffic of 1 month here, and we see that there is a lot of targets and communications between the donuts that are the circles that are SAP instances. And we can directly see here that we have a red one. And then it directly shows us, oh, the patching state, oh, the security posture, the RFC security level is not quite up to the mark for that RFC communication. We have missing patches in the source system, and we have RFC system info, which by definition is only an info request and should not be critical, but it could be also used by attackers to assess attributes of the system. And with that, we're coming to the end of the demo. make it disappear. And we're coming back to our RISE with SAP readiness roadmap. Brian, I'm looking at you. Have we received any questions thus far?
We have a huge amount of questions, ranging from rather simpler questions to technical deep dive questions. So I've recommended to reach out separate on those. And we will need to review them, I think, given the time that we have at the moment. But there was one question around the logging that you've mentioned on RISE, and it's basically around how deep can we go on the test stack. So is it possible to also get into client zero logging and the host information where SAP is running on, etc., which is typically the challenge in the environment?
Yeah. So first of all, SecurityBridge is a certified SAP add-on that is also compatible with RISE. We run multiple RISE installations already. The client 00 is the home of SAP. However, multiple log sources are just client independent and should not comprise any problem in that regard. And we're currently working together with SAP in the on the approval process to get the user access for the intrusion detection system user that also then collects the logs from client 00. So the process is ongoing. I urge you, if you are a SecurityBridge customer, you can request this with your account manager at SAP. We've seen multiple exceptions already, so I think it should not be a problem. It's a specific process that you need to follow. And what was the other part of the question? How deep we can go, or?
Yeah, in terms of operation system logs, for instance.
Yeah, operation system logs are out of scope for us because especially in the RISE with SAP environment, they are monitored by your vendor, SAP, or the premium supplier that you have chosen for. We are not. We are feeling entitled for all the log sources of SAP. Yeah, application monitoring. Good. Then maybe let me quickly finalize my last content slide, and then we can anyways go into the wrap up of the session because I see we are already a bit over time. But if you take one thing away from the session today is that security is not downstream hardening exercise. It's an integral part of the RISE with SAP transformation. And deliberately, I show the individual project phases from the pre-migration to migration to post-migration after go live. You need to have your quality gates. You need to have your security considerations there in the discover and prepare and explore phase. You probably analyze what is your target operation model at the moment and how will it be impacted by reviewing the contracts for RISE with SAP. Is also a very essential and vital exercise for the negotiation part as far as possible, as much as possible. And then in the migration, you already need to identify what vulnerabilities are there. Once productive data comes into test stages, obviously it has the same protection needs as the productive data. Even though it's dated, you want to have such data not be leaked, manipulated, or And obviously also in this phase, it's very vital to not miss out on any vulnerabilities that are injected, backdoors whatsoever, so that the after go live process helps you, is not impacted from day one onwards. And then ideally, after the migration, you directly transform also your security operation in your continuous security monitoring process that, and I think just for sake of completeness, needs to also go into a continuous innovation cycle as always. Yeah, you can start lean and you can then improve it over time because SecurityBridge is super easy and versatile. We'll install it in less than 48 hours in your environments. Will reduce the efficiency, we will increase the efficiency, not reduce, don't get me wrong here, will help you to become more efficient. especially when it comes to where is my window? To the tedious processes, patch management as an example, but also here in that example is the compliance and audit part. And then we are already installed on more than 8,000 production systems worldwide and helping customers around the world to protect their instances. And I think with that, I can again only urge you to reach out for a live demo or even for a RISE security readiness assessment. That's partly also done with together with our partners. And as you can see, we work with renowned companies as customers, and we're an SAP partner, and we walk the talk security-wise. That means we are also ISO 27001 certified.
So
we have any questions?
I have shared the link where you can contact us in the Q&A session. So if there is anything you want to share with us or give feedback or have another question, please post it there. There is an opportunity to see us more live in real person and in color as well in Rotterdam, Netherlands, with the Secure Together Roadshow. If you Google Secure Together Rotterdam, you will find us there together with Accenture on a nice boat. And there's also some customers of us speaking there. So it's a really good opportunity to meet up with our prospects and existing customers to discuss SecurityBridge and the benefits.
And for our audience, you'll see the request a demo button directly in front of your panel. Don't hesitate to reach out. Then we'll have more time to go into your questions and provide you an individual demo.
Those questions I haven't answered in the chat or that Christoph hasn't covered in his session, you can expect getting an email from us, and then we will cover it right after the session. With that, Christoph, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We had a huge coverage from the very east of Europe to the very west in the UK and Ireland. From the very north, I can tell you Finland, Norway, Sweden has been on board, as well as Italy and Greece. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon, hopefully in Rotterdam.
Amazing. Stay secure. Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye.